A small town has a little shop that sells shoes. Every business has hiccups, but overall it has provided good shoes to the residents of the town for generations. And then a businessman from a large city comes into town to open a new footwear showroom. And this is not your old shop. Glitzy windows, customer service, the best brands. And to attract customers, he keeps lowering the prices, selling the shoes at loss. The old shop cannot afford it. Besides for promoting his own establishment, the new showroom began also to draw everyone's attention to every flaw of his competitor. The residents now felt grateful to him not only for bringing a big city showroom to their town, but also for opening their eyes to all the problems of the old shop. But then he also began to add his own details to those negative stories about the old shop, and then making up his own stories to smear his competitor. He quickly became the main shoe seller of the town. What the footwear showroom was doing is called predatory business practices. They are unethical and sometimes even illegal. They harm not only old businesses, but most importantly, the customers. To conquer the market is one thing. To keep it is quite another. The footwear showroom, of course, was not able to sell items at loss for a long time, and its prices started going up. Since it lacked the needed experience, it started having problems which were larger than those of the old shop. It did not live up to its expectations, and after dissuading the entire town from visiting the old shop, the footwear showroom went out of business. Who suffered the most from this story? The customers. The old shop is still standing there, but it's no longer as popular as it used to be. Because of all of the negative stories, people just don't feel like going there. So what are people doing? Some wear their old shoes. Some started sewing their own homemade shoes. And more people began walking around barefoot. Listen, you can't trust any store anyway. Throughout the history, our Jewish town had its own shop. It is called Judaism. It didn't have glitzy windows, but it provided us with what is most needed for all humans: an understanding of who you are, an understanding of why you live, and a system of ethical values. And suddenly, a business from a large city comes into our Jewish town to build a fancy showroom. And they invest a lot of money into advertising. These were the new modern Western ideologies. They look so advanced and so progressive. They quickly began to publicize about even the slightest problem with our old shop. And they began to invent their own stories in order to smear the old shop. But most importantly, they promised a better product for a lower price. A logical value system, as they called it, which is obviously, as they presented, a better product, that requires much less from people. which means it has a lower price. People need to do less for it. No rituals, minimal restrictions. Who would not want to become a customer of such a showroom? The Age of Enlightenment gave birth to schools of philosophy, each offering its own, even more advanced and more modern worldview. And the old shop, Judaism, seemed to be completely forgotten. The problem is, however, that to conquer the market is one thing, and to keep it is quite another. And this glitzy showroom goes out of business. If you call yourself a secular person, you are a living proof of exactly that. I'm sure you do not live by any of the ideologies of any of secular philosophers. Secular people have abandoned their secular schools of thought a long time ago. None of their theories are used anymore as a guide for life. Kant's works might be very interesting, but you will not find a single person on the planet living according to his ethics. You can read Nietzsche's books while lying on a couch, but you cannot live according to his conflicting ideas. Our last week's video called Don't Praise Rabbis was illustrating this point very vividly. The systems that were created as a moral code that people should live by instead of religion have become anything but that. They have become completely forgotten by the majority of people. And for those few who still remember them, they have become just bases for scholastic exercises. The new showroom slandered the old shop, took most of its customers away from it, and after not delivering on its promise, went out of business. And what are most of the people doing now? They're making their own shoes or just run around barefoot.